Tony Savage, and I created Between Two Yetis, where we take our Yeti coolers all around the world and meet people from all walks of life to learn what it is that gets them out of bed. Our aim is to show the humanity in the world by giving people the opportunity to share their story. This is Nelson Dellis. He's a 4-time USA memory champion and runs a charity called Climb for Memory, where he raises awareness of Alzheimer's disease by organizing climbing expeditions up some of the world's greatest mountains. We decided, why not take the show up a mountain on one of his next trips? So we worked out how to strap them to our backs, got together some friends, and flew out to Kilimanjaro. This is our adventure climbing to the roof of Africa.
Ready?
Ready. I was born ready.
And we are back between two yetis on our Kilimanjaro special with Heather Craig.
Hello. Thank you so much for having
to have
me.
you on the show on our pink yetis.
Yes, with my pink pants, you know. Gotta represent.
You are the first colour matching guest we've ever had on the show.
I mean, I try. I do what I can.
All right, so you've got your 30-second elevator pitch to tell me what you do.
Well,
yeah, what you do.
What I do. Okay, well,
Not who you are, what you do.
I used to ride and train racehorses, and I decided to go back to school at the age of 28, and now I have my master's in international law, and I work for an international law NGO nonprofit in Manhattan.
So you grew up around horses?
Yes, I did.
And what made you
leave?
Yeah.
I just needed to change. You know, it's a really, really busy and intense lifestyle, and you move every 2-3 months. And
what were you training? Racehorses? Or?
Yep. Mhm.
Blimey. You
Yeah.
ever had your arm inside?
No, actually, I have never done that. I've witnessed it several times, but I personally have never done that.
Because one of the girls that I work with, she has a horse,
and she's a veterinarian.
No, but it takes up so much of her life.
I mean, it is a lifestyle.
Yeah,
for sure.
She's up at 4 a.m.
Yep.
And then she has to finish work early and then go and ride again. And
yep.
Holy hell! She hasn't got a boyfriend.
Yeah.
She's in her mid-40s.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's willing to take her on because of it.
I mean, I have definitely heard that before.
All right. Well, that could lead us into the Tinder thing.
Okay.
So you trained then?
I was an assistant trainer, so I worked for several trainers over the span of, I guess, about 15 years. But I worked for two for the majority of the time.
And where was this?
All over the place. So our main base was in Maryland, but we move every, like I said, 2 to 3 months, depending on where the racing is happening. So I've lived in Kentucky, New Orleans, Florida, California, Chicago.
Because your Kentucky Derby is the same as our Ascot, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, very, very similar. We actually won the Derby in 2011 with a horse named Animal Kingdom, so.
Did you get well rewarded for that?
I mean, not as well rewarded as the owners and my boss, but yeah.
Because there is a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of my other friends, he runs events in America for polo championships.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I had no idea.
There's a lot of money in polo
6
too.
players on a field. Mm-hmm. But each player has 4 horses or 5 horses?
It kind of depends. I mean, the higher level polo player you are, I mean, you can have 6 or 7 to rotate out, and those polo ponies cost a lot of money.
A lot of money.
And you're sponsored by people. I mean, you don't pay for anything. Yeah. You know, if you're good.
Well,
you know?
his main sponsor was Gégé Lecoute.
Yeah.
And so they were just throwing millions at him to run. Unbelievable the production that it would take just to hit a ball around.
Yeah. Now it is a difficult sport. I mean, it takes a lot of talent. I would say, you know, to be able to ride and actually, you know, to play stick and ball.
I was learning about the boots have to be made from horse.
Yeah.
So they don't. Fascinating. Anyway, so let's move on to you're working now for the ICC?
So I work for the coalition for the ICC. So we are a support group of over 2,500 NGOs, and the organization I work for kind of oversees everyone and kind of tries to maintain that support for the court and its work, and the Rome Statute, which is the treaty that founded the court. So.
Okay, and the Rome Treaty was, when was that?
1998.
98, so this is relatively new.
Yes, very much so, yeah.
And you were saying it doesn't incorporate anybody it should.
Right,
Just
yeah.
Anyone who's willing to be under the premise of it.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
We're working on it. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, where are you living?
I live in Manhattan, in the financial district, actually, so on Wall Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Yeah.
you live there as well? You live uptown, or are you?
No, I work in Midtown, close to the UN, and I live in the financial district, which is downtown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing we don't do on this show is talk politics.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to take a question that's completely separated from 2008 and everything onwards.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm stuck now because now my chain of thought is very much taken that way.
Yep.
All right. So how do you know Nelson?
So I know Nelson actually because he is married to Leah, who is one of my friends from undergrad. We went to school together way back in 2008. Well, to 2004,
So she
2008.
trained as a lawyer as well.
Leah?
Yeah.
No.
This was your first.
Yeah, this was undergrad.
I'm
Yeah.
English. I have no idea what. This
Yeah. So this was like college, whereas
Right, okay.
whereas this was the secondary degree that I got just
Okay.
recently. Yeah. So we knew each other back then, and then when I moved to Manhattan, I reconnected with her and a bunch of other friends from undergrad, and then not long after, Leah met Nelson, and the rest is history.
Bloody hell. Were you in a sorority?
I was. Leah was not actually, but our other group of friends, we were in a sorority. Yeah.
So what's the requirements?
I mean, they have to like you, I guess. No, I don't know. I mean,
Hazing?
there was a little bit of hazing.
All right. what
Yeah,
was
a little
yours?
bit. Oh, I mean, that's a secret. I can't tell.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's against the rules.
Okay. Otherwise, then you get kicked. You still in it?
No. I mean, technically, yes, but I kind of. Well, so my senior year, I kind of like de-sistered because I was spending so much time with the horses, and I couldn't dedicate enough time to the sorority. So I was like, well, I have to choose one or the
Bow
other.
out of this one gracefully.
Yeah, I was like, thanks for everything. I mean, I'm still friends with everyone, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. So your aspirations moving forward?
I
Obviously
would.
getting to the top of that fucking thing.
Yes, definitely. Looking forward to that. I would very much like to work in the field as opposed to being based in an office.
What's that? Catching bad guys?
More along the lines of researching human rights abuses so that someone else can catch the bad guys, I guess. But yeah, so I'm applying to some other jobs out of the country, and we'll see what happens.
So, the Magnitsky Act. Mm-hmm. You're familiar with? I am from a pure. I've read the book Red Nation. So I understand how it got put into place. What was the main opposition from the US to actually do it? Because he comes up with a lot of reasons why. A lot of people wanted to be re-elected. A lot of people didn't want to piss people off, especially Putin. And
Yeah.
It was like, there wasn't enough. And then Putin turns around and says, right, fuck you all. You can't adopt any Russian children. It just seemed like such a petty fight.
I mean, it is a petty fight, and
Is it petty once you start getting to that level? 'Cause the one thing I've started seeing with Trump, we are going political, but the thing I've seen when you start looking at Merkel or Theresa May or wet lettuce in Canada, or, they may be leaders of nations, but it's all one-upmanship. And if you don't like somebody, you will do something just to fuck somebody over.
well, so remember when we I mean, if I remember correctly, we ended up closing, several secret Russian compounds here in the States.
That's right. You closed the embassies and kicked them out.
Yeah. I mean, then they in turn did a very much similar thing and told everyone to get out, to all U.S.
That was over
people.
Christmas, wasn't it?
I don't quite remember. It's fairly recent. No, I think it was before Christmas, in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah, but fairly recent. I mean, it's this back and forth battle of who's better, who has more power, who can exert more power over other countries. I mean, a perfect example is what's happening in Syria. The reason that situation has remained very much the same and in fact has gotten worse is because Russia and China refuse to allow, the situation to be dealt with in a way that could ultimately end it. Russia's more interested in keeping the control of their warm water port, which is right off the coast of Syria.
So what I understand is the reason why ISIS is all but done now is because the CIA has been stopped supplying weapons into the country for the rebels.
That
has all but dried up.
I think
the oil was. Why am I talking? You're the one.
No, well, I think you're right. I think that was part of it. Because the weapons fall into the wrong hands, regardless of what your intentions are,
Leave 75 Humvees behind.
Yeah. There's an argument that a lot of people say that, the reason we are partially the reason for ISIS's formation.
Yeah.
In terms of what happened in Iraq and the de-Baathification process. A lot of those high-level ISIS leaders used to be in Saddam Hussein's cabinet, and so that's when we invaded Iraq and it removed everyone from power, regardless of whether or not they were sympathetic to Hussein or kind of just played along. We removed them and
Pissed them off.
Yeah, and then
one thing I find fascinating is that you see the world from your own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So, them fighting and doing what they consider themselves to be the good guys.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And America and the Allies are the bad guys.
100%.
So trying to get your head around that kind of how can they see themselves as being the good people? But
right.
They do.
Yeah, no, they do. They do. They see themselves as fighting for a just cause, this caliphate that they want to create, and they see everyone else as infidels, and that, at one stage, this group, now granted it's not ISIS, it's not this extreme form of Islam, but, at one stage, that part of the world was, ruled by this group and was majority Islam, so they see themselves as in the right, and they feel the need to do whatever they can in order to achieve that.
Bloody hell! It's a fascinating time to be alive.
It is.
The information the information that's available is just so quick,
mm-hmm.
and so salacious,
mm-hmm.
that everybody jumps on it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when there's some huge stories come out, it's like when it's not covered,
mm-hmm.
it's like, why is it not covered? I'm trying to think of a recent example. Well, it's when Trump signed the extension of the Magnitsky Act.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he do that? He didn't need to do it, did he? Nobody was pressuring him to do it.
Yeah.
It was there.
Yeah.
I know he does a lot of stuff that we don't understand why
Yeah.
he does it. But from what people I listen to are saying that it was a way of going, watch out.
Yeah.
Everybody who's involved with human rights abuses around the world are going to have their US assets frozen or seized.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, but and that's all well and good, you know what I mean, to kind of, extend that on paper. But in reality, the United States doesn't do hardly anything in terms of, I mean, yes, we freeze, assets in North Korea, right? I mean, that seems to be like the main target right now, but we don't do much when it comes to, there are human rights abuses occurring. I mean, take, for example, in Myanmar, we just recently froze several high-level government military leaders that are, I guess, suspected of, ordering some of these abuses take place. But this has been going on for months. I mean, these poor people, the Rohingya, have been being slaughtered and forced out of their homes for months, and nobody's done anything about it. And still, okay, what, you freeze someone's assets. You know what I mean? It's still, it hasn't done anything to change the situation.
Okay, so now we're going into conspiracy theory central.
Uh-oh.
We're not supposed to go here. But a lot of these poorer countries, especially here in Africa, are mineral rich. And it's advantageous to have a dictator in power who will take, billions off the table and allow these poor people not to have the wealth of their own country. Even in this day and age, that's still going on, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the majority of countries here in Africa are, have corrupt leaders. And, these people live in poverty and with no electricity and no running water. And they could have more than what they do. But you're right. Yeah. Corruption is at
the core of it, and that's what you're going after.
So we don't specifically go after corruption per se, but corrupt leaders tend to do other bad things, like murder their own people, or things like that. So yes, in a way, corruption is linked to the beginning of those kinds of things.
Like the paperwork side of Team America, World Police.
I don't know about that, but
saving the world from the motherfucking terrorists.
Yeah, well, we'd like to think so.
I do bleep after the swearing. Well, good luck.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's nice to, one thing I've realised, nobody really, you have the deepest connection, I guess, to Nelson.
Yeah, I guess I'd say so, just because, I'm friends with his now wife, so.
Kind of like popped in, popped out. Yeah. But, everyone's, doctors, lawyers, saviors of the world.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I'd like to think that we're doing good, in some small way.
To be president one day?
No. I just hope that
you're on the right path.
We have a better president than the one we have now.
Well, that's not good. That could take all the memory cards we got left.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we need to warm up.
Yeah, definitely. I know, it's freezing.
It's amazing, isn't it?
We need a drink.
Damn.
If only we had some alcohol.